Audio muted? Yep, there it is. I hear me on the stream, but now I don't hear the dang song.
I don't hear any songs, but I probably won't.
I see it playing on the stream launch. Did all your audio revert back to your defaults instead of what they're assigned as? Do you remember how we had to go into your computer and change it to where it says default, but we had to change it to where it said whatever else? Yeah, I'm hearing myself with a delay. We got audio bleeding over into the stream. I'm talking. What's up, Speedy? Thanks, buddy. We're trying to get this shit figured out here. We damn sprinted right into a brick wall today. Yeah, that crap. Shouldn't need no Chrome volume. I'm not using Chrome. It should just be Discord audio. You hear me, Speedy? All right, Speedy says he can hear me. I don't know, man. Yeah, I say we just run it. How did I get my chat popped out that one time? I don't remember. This rough. What's up there, Cowbell?
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, not much. Trying to get our audio situation figured out. It's been a rough one. Speedy, you have to keep a listen here and make sure we're not getting a bunch of echoes and crazy stuff going on.
Right.
We got our moderator Speedy in chat with us. This is our 9/11 special episode. Got CowbellCody, MoreCowbellCody joined us. Hopefully got a decent show here for you. It's going to be slow paced, and I dare not call it dry because it will not be very. I'm trying to think how to say this. It's not going to be a high speed, high paced episode here. It's going to be factual. Um, got a long one planned for you, I think. So I hope everyone enjoys it. I'd like to start this episode by taking a moment of silence in remembrance of all the people who sacrificed in service to our nation after the September 11th attacks. And you can go ahead and appreciate it. Go ahead and play that video we got here. Nope, I want the first video. It says it's President Bush on the ground zero. I can't figure out for life, man, how to get this thing popped out. Nope, that wasn't it. Should have a video queued up somewhere.
Thank you all. Let's get him, George! I want you all to know. I want you all to know that America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn. This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon. The nation sends its love.
Hell yeah.
And compassion to everybody who is here. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for making the nation proud. And may God bless America.
Yeah, that was very memorable. I remember that. Did you get a chance to watch that, Cowbell?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool. I didn't know what you could see or what you couldn't hear. Do you remember that speech?
Oh yeah.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knocked down these buildings will hear all of us soon. I was like, hell yeah. Man, how my life had changed in an instant, huh? I was sitting in English class. Someone like opened the door and they said, hey, turn on TV. And so I turned TV on. I saw these two big buildings smoking. Apparently an airplane had flown into the side of one of them. I remember thinking, what the hell are the World Trade Centers? I had literally never heard of them.
Right, I was in the same boat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
had
I
no
heard of
idea.
them because of the, years before that, there had been some sort of an attempt to, sabotage the World Trade Center, and they were caught.
Yep.
And that was the first time I'd heard about it, which is strange. The only two times I ever really heard about it on TV was 2 times when people were trying to sabotage it. So, yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I was in California in the Marine Corps, and it was like,
So you had already joined then?
oh yeah, I was
Okay.
yeah, we hadn't. I'd probably been in for about 2 years, and
We're gonna save the enlistment talk for the end of the show. I've kind of rearranged what we worked through the other day, if you remember.
right,
So I want to go through the timeline first. I want to run. I've picked out about 100 talking points, I think, on the timeline.
oh yeah,
Interesting things. Obviously, now we have more information about the event than we've ever had, and definitely more than we had that day. I mean, if you remember, no one knew nothing. Like it was
yeah.
crazy.
We
But
we were instantly on lockdown.
oh yeah, they told us in high school we didn't change classes or nothing. Like we sat in the same classroom with the same teacher with the same class. You know, it was just watching the news all day until time to send us home to our parents.
Uh,
But so do you have this document pulled up? Oh, Speedy, you forgot to remind me to put this document in there. I'm blaming that one on you, Speed Dog. All right. So for those of you familiar with the show, our pinned document's going up. For those of you not familiar with the show, that chat up there that I just posted is going to be pinned at the top of our stream, and that is the document that I made that has all of the makings of the show on it, everything, top to bottom. So you can click that document and you can follow right down the sheet with me and know what I'm going to say next and reread what I already said, and all the links to all our videos are going to be there. All the links to anything that I talk about is going to be in there. So, um, Cowbell, if you want to go ahead and pull that up, and we'll start
I'm with you.
going through this timeline here. So, all these times are in Eastern time. So for those of us in Central time like me, it's an hour off. You know, for me, I get to school at like 7:50 that morning, and that was about the time the first plane uh had hit. So it was really 8:50 your guys' time, I think, right, or something like that.
It was about 6 in the morning.
Oh, was it? Okay,
Yeah,
maybe I was thinking the opposite direction.
we were. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's like 9. What was it, like 9 in the morning? They're 3 hours ahead of us. I was already, already had eaten breakfast down at we had like a thing called the
Oh
Edna.
yeah, yeah. So at the time you were not on East Coast time. You were
No,
on.
I was in
Okay,
California.
I was like, wait a minute, 6 in the morning. I'm like,
I was in Camp Pendleton.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So all these times are in Eastern time. So they're going to be off from the way you or I or a lot of other people are going to remember this.
Right.
So 7:59 a.m. American Airlines Flight 11 takes off from Boston Logan International, bound for Los Angeles. If you want to just rotate with me, you can hop on the next one here. And some of this, like this next one, has radio traffic, right? So you know how to read radio, I'm assuming. So that's a radio transmission there. 8:13 a.m. Flight 11 has its last routine communication with the FAA's Boston Air Route Traffic Control Center, also known as Boston Center. American 11 turned 20 degrees right. Turning right, American 11. That was the last normal traffic. About 20 seconds later, Boston Center Sector 46 controller Pete Zalewski instructs Flight 11 to climb to 35,000 feet twice, but receives no reply. He informs the Athens sector's controller that his flight is Nordo. No radio contact. Boston Center continues to attempt to reestablish contact with the flight without success. You want to take one?
Sure.
All right.
Let's see. 8:14 United Airlines flight 175 takes off from Boston Logan, also bound for Los Angeles. 8:14 flight 11 is hijacked over central Massachusetts, turning first northwest, then south, heading straight to New York. Then 8:20 American Airlines flight 77 takes off from Washington. How do you pronounce that? Dulles?
Dulles, I think. Washington Dulles.
Right, there you go. International Airport, also bound for Los Angeles. Then 8:21 flight 11's transponder signal was turned off, but the flight can still be tracked through primary radar by Boston Center. At 8:24, a radio transmission comes from Flight 11. Quote, "Hey, we have some planes. Just stay quiet and you'll be okay. We are returning to the airport. It is believed that the ATTA mistakenly held a button directing his voice to the
Yeah,
radio
Atta
rather.
was one of
Yeah,
the hijackers, or Atta
right.
or Atta, however you say it. But
A few seconds later, a second transmission received in which the ATA says, "Nobody move. Everything will be okay. If you try to make any moves, you endanger yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet." And then 8:26, Flight 11 makes a 100-degree turn to the south, following the Hudson River toward New York City. And then at 8:33, okay, and this is going down to Flight 175. It reaches its assigned cruising altitude of 31,000 feet. At 8:33, 59 seconds, a third transmission from ATA on board flight back to Flight 11. "Nobody move, please. We are going back to the airport. Do not try to make any stupid moves." And then at 8:35 or 8:34, two F-15 pilots begin to suit up.
yeah, so it's called what's it called? Nordo, I think is what it's called, or no, Nordo's no radio. It's NORAD is the air defense communication place, right? So the FFA had notified NORAD about the potential hijacking, and so they contacted the FBI, or I don't know who, and
Yeah.
so they getting ready to spin up two F-15s out there at
Yeah.
the name of the base is out here. It's Otis something. So at 8:37, Flight 175 confirms sighting of hijacked Flight 11 to flight controllers 10 miles to its south. 30 seconds later, Flight 11 begins a rapid descent at 3,200 feet per minute, starting from an altitude of 29,000 feet. 8:41, the FAA's New York Center requests information about Flight 11 over the radio. Flight 175 responds, "We heard a suspicious transmission on our departure out of Boston with someone. Sounded like someone keyed the mic and said, 'Everyone stay in your seats.' New York Center acknowledges and says it will pass the information on. NEAS, which is the Northeast Air Defense Sector, drives two fighter pilots at Otis Air National Guard Base to battle stations." 8:42, Flight 93 takes off from Newark International Airport, bound for San Francisco International Airport. Its flight path initially takes it close to the World Trade Center, which is 4 minutes away from being struck, before moving away westwards. All four airplanes are now in the air. Go ahead.
Okay. At 8:42 and 46 seconds, Flight 175 is hijacked northwest of New Jersey, about 60 miles northwest of New York City. 8:43 and 30 seconds, while descending to 10,000 feet, Flight 11 makes a final turn, turning southwest towards New York City, aiming for the World Trade Center. 8:44 to 8:46, flight attendant Amy Sweeney aboard Flight 11 reports by telephone to Michael Woodward at the American Airlines Flight Services office in Boston. "Something is wrong. We are in a rapid descent. We are all over the place." A minute later, Woodward asks her to describe what she sees out of the window. She responds, "I see the water. I see the buildings. I see the buildings." After a short pause, she reports, "We are flying low. We are flying very, very low. We're flying way too low." Seconds later, she says, "Oh my God, we are way too low." The call ends with a burst of very loud, sustained static. Okay. So 8:46 and 40 seconds, Flight 11 crashes into the north face of the North Tower of the World Trade Center between the 93rd and 99th floors. All on board are instantly killed, along with an unknown number of people inside the building. And the occupants of floor 92, the final floor, unaffected by the actual crash, are trapped due to the stairwells being blocked by debris from 7 destroyed floors directly above, and the elevators being rendered inoperable by the plane strike. People below the several stairwells start to evacuate, but no one above floor 91 is able to do so.
So when the plane hit the first one,
Yeah.
it hit all the stairwells and elevator shafts and the buildings. Those two buildings were reinforced with I forget the name of the material now, but basically it just adds a whole lot of structural strength to it. So when the plane hit it, it also had a whole lot more debris, basically. So even though it hit 2 floors above these people, all that shit fell down, broke the elevators and then clogged all the stairs. 846, Chief of the New York City Fire Department's 1st Battalion, Joseph Pfeiffer, makes the first fire department radio message advising the FDNY Manhattan Fire Dispatch Office of the crash. Chief Pfeiffer and personnel from other fire companies were several blocks north on the corner of Church Street and Lisbernard Street investigating an odor of a gas in the street. It witnessed the attack, along with Jules Naudet, who was accompanying the firefighters at the time. Battalion 1 to Manhattan. Battalion 1, okay. We just had a plane crash into the upper floor of the World Trade Center. Transmit a second alarm and start relocating companies into the area. 10-4, Battalion 1. 846. With 48 seconds, 2 F-15 fighter jets are ordered to scramble from Otis Air National Guard Base intended to intercept Flight 11. And anytime you want to stop me and talk about any of this, or anytime you're reading and want to stop and talk, man, feel free. This is an open forum. There's no reason not to talk. So I found this super interesting. Literally 5 seconds after the chief calls in the second alarm, the F-15s are actually given the order to scramble. So like it's already too late. They're going to look for this plane that's inside of the World Trade Center now.
Yeah. That's
Sergeant Jeremy Powell. These are radio transmissions as well. I don't know why I didn't put them in quotes and stuff, but Sergeant Jeremy Powell, this is Huntress with an active air defense scramble for Panta 4546. Time 1246. Authenticate Delta X-ray. Scramble immediately. Panta 4546 heading 280, flight level 290. Contact Huntress on frequency 228.9, backup 364.2. All parties acknowledge with initials. Because Flight 11 transponder is off, the pilots do not know the location of their target. When Flight 11 crashed, its track disappeared from radar. Needs spends the next several minutes watching their radar screens in anticipation of Flight 11 returning as a radar contact. However, unknown to Needs at the time, Flight 11 has already impacted the North Tower. Needs will not become aware of the crash at the World Trade Center until 8:50 a.m. 8:47. With 39 seconds, Boston Center and New York Center contact other flight controllers in the area, stating that they have lost Flight 11. Roughly a minute later, New York Center passes on information supplied by Kennedy Tower about a fire at the World Trade Center. New York Center says, Kennedy Tower reports. You serious? Kennedy Tower reports that there was a fire at the World Trade Center, and that's the area where we lost the airplane. So now you can kind of see the people in command of air traffic control and stuff. They're adding up the pieces, right?
figuring out what's happening.
All right, go ahead with it.
All right, 848. With Flight 11 leaving more than 800. Wait a minute. With Flight 11 leaving more than 800 people still alive, but trapped on the top 19 floors of the now burning North Tower, the first of more than 200 people is spotted plummeting from a window on the east face barely 2 minutes after the impact. Most of the people witnessed falling are driven to suicide by jumping to escape the extreme heat, smoke, and flames rapidly consuming the North Tower's upper levels. And although a much smaller percentage of the falls are accidents caused by people losing their grip or balance whilst being near windows, no form of airborne evacuation is attempted as smoke is too dense for a successful landing on the roof of either tower. The 850 needs, it's an acronym, needs is notified that a plane has struck the World Trade Center as they continue to try to locate Flight 11 on radar. Fire Department New York 1st Battalion, Chief Joseph Pfeiffer is the first fire chief to enter the World Trade Center after the North Tower impact. He is joined by several New York Fire Department New York companies on entry as he starts setting up command in the tower.
So Needs is the Northeast Air Defense.
Okay.
Whatever. So that
Gotcha.
that's an acronym
That's
for
what
sure.
we were trying to talk about earlier.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so at 8:50, 54 seconds, Flight 77 is hijacked above southern Ohio, and the transponder is turned off by hijacker Hani Hanjour.
So those ones with the dashes where it says 8:50-54, that means somewhere in there. It's an approximation, like 8:50 to 8:54 a.m. They're not really sure
I got you.
exactly when it happened, but it's between them minutes.
8:51, a flight controller at the FAA New York Center notices that Flight 175 had changed its transponder code twice. 4 minutes earlier, he tries to contact another flight in the area. Delta Airlines Flight 1489 reports the sight of smoke coming from the lower Manhattan to New York Center, and this is the first word any pilots in flight receive of the incident.
So
yeah,
I found that interesting too, is that all the pilots in the area flying, I mean, there's probably at this point in time, almost 9 a.m. East Coast time, there's probably hundreds of airplanes in the air.
Oh yeah.
And this guy calling from flight 1489 is when he transmits. Obviously, all the other planes. It's like the way airplanes work. There's like I guess like a common channel, right? So like if you're in an area, that's controlled by New York Center, everybody calling into New York Center is on the same channel.
Right.
So everybody can hear that, and that's the first transmission that actually went to all the pilots about anything about the whole attacks, and it's been, an hour. I think it's crazy. I don't know. I guess maybe you wouldn't want to alert everybody or make everybody, what am I looking for? Panicky or whatever. But yeah, that was the first time that all the other pilots who were not involved in hijackings heard of any of this, and they just know about a fire now. That's it.
Right.
8:52 a.m. Lee Hansen receives a phone call from his son Peter, a passenger on United 175, who says, "I think they've taken over the cockpit. An attendant has been stabbed, and someone else up front may have been killed. The plane is making strange moves. Call United Airlines. Tell them it's Flight 175, Boston to LA." Also on board Flight 175, a flight attendant calls United Airlines office in Chicago, reporting that the flight had been hijacked. Both pilots had been killed, a flight attendant had been stabbed, and the hijackers were probably flying the plane. The F-15s at Otis Air National Guard Base are airborne, still lacking an intercept vector to Flight 11, and not aware that it has already crashed. They are sent to military-controlled airspace off Long Island in order to remain in a holding pattern until between 9:09 and 9:13 a.m. 8:54 a.m., Flight 77 deviates from its assigned course, turning south over Ohio. 8:55, President George W. Bush arrives at Emma E. Booker Elementary School in Sarasota, Florida, as part of a scheduled visit to promote education, and is reading The Pet Goat when White House Chief of Staff Andrew Card, who is with Bush, informs him that a small twin-engine plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. Before entering the classroom, the president speaks to National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice, who's at the White House. She first tells him it was a twin-engine aircraft and then a commercial aircraft that had struck the World Trade Center, adding, quote, "That's all we know right now, Mr. President," end quote. 8:56. 10 minutes after the North Tower of the World Trade Center was hit by Flight 11, the transponder on Flight 77 is turned off, and even primary radar contact with the aircraft is lost. During radar blackout, Flight 77 turns east, unnoticed by flight controllers. When primary radar information is restored at 9:05, controllers searching for Flight 77 to the west of its previous position are unable to find it. Flight 77 travels undetected for 36 minutes on a course heading due east towards Washington, D.C. That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, man.
8:58, Flight 175 makes a final turn towards New York City. 8:59, Flight 175, passenger Brian Sweeney leaves a message through airphone to his wife, Julie. "Julie, this is Brian. Listen, I'm on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well and it's not looking good, I just want you to know I absolutely love you and I want you to do good. Go have good times. Same to my parents and everybody, and I just totally love you, and I'll see you when you get there. Bye, babe. I hope I call you." 9, Lee Hansen receives a second call from his son Peter aboard Flight 175. It's getting bad, Dad. A stewardess was stabbed. They seem to have knives and mace. They said they have a bomb. It's getting very bad on the plane. Passengers are throwing up and getting sick. The plane is making jerky movements. I don't think the pilot is flying the plane. I think we are going down. I think they intend to go to Chicago or someplace and fly into a building. Don't worry, Dad. If it happens, it'll be very fast. My God, my God. The call ends abruptly as Lee Hansen hears a woman scream. At 9:02, evacuation of both World Trade Center towers was ordered by the Fire Department New York Battalion Chief Joseph Pfeiffer, who is stationed in the lobby of the North Tower. Although it is uncertain where the tower, South Tower's Deputy Fire Safety Director receives this order, an announcement is made over the tower's PA system to begin an orderly evacuation if conditions warranted. Air traffic controllers tracked Flight 175's descent to shockingly low altitudes. That's 9:03. President Bush enters a classroom as part of his school visit. FAA's New York Center notifies NORAD needs of the hijacking of Flight 175 at the same time it crashes. 9:03. Flight 175 crashes into the south face of the South Tower of the World Trade Center between the 77th and 85th floors. All on board are instantly killed, along with an unknown number inside the building. Parts of the plane, including the starboard engine, leave the building from its east and north sides, falling to the ground 6 blocks away. 9:04, approximately, the FAA's Boston Air Route Traffic Control Center stops all departures from airports in its jurisdiction, New England and Eastern New York State.
So 9:04, when the first flight took off at 7:59. So it's been an hour and 5 minutes it took them to, right? Yeah,
To get any kind of a clue as to what was happening, and it already happened.
to maybe lock shit down.
Right.
9:05.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead if you want.
Yeah, I'll take. After brief introductions to Booker Elementary students, President Bush, this is the part that sticks out, always seeing his reaction. President Bush is about to begin reading The Pet Goat with the students when Chief of Staff Andrew Card interrupts to. Did I read that correctly? Chief of Staff Andrew Card interrupts to whisper to the president, "A second plane hit the second tower. America is under attack." The president stated later that he decided to continue the lesson rather than alarm the students, which was, in my opinion, highly professional.
I thought so too. A lot of people
Absolutely.
criticized him. I was excited to hear your opinion on that.
Even with the pilots earlier, if the pilots had been alarmed, they too had to be professional and couldn't say anything. So,
right.
You know, that's why that happened. And then the FAA begins imposing blanket temporary flight restrictions, with the flight restrictions banning takeoffs of all flights bound, and this is when it all hit the fan. Flights bound to or through the airspace of New York City from airports in that center and the 3 adjacent centers, Boston, Cleveland, and Washington. So now we're on lockdown.
But still, it still strikes me as weird that they're only stopping flights in the Northeast.
Right.
Like I don't know. In my opinion, I'm thinking like LAX. Think how many people are in California. You know what I mean?
At this point, the whole place should have been on lockdown.
I agree. I found it very weird they only shut down the Northeast. But I'm not the boss, so hey, I don't know how. It's probably a big call to make. And if you're wrong, think about. I mean, you're fired. If you shut down the country and you're wrong, you are fired.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, what would they know? I mean, they have these however many planes in this town. You would think that, well, we have Los Angeles, we have San Diego, we have San Francisco, we have Seattle.
Dallas, Fort Worth's a huge one.
Exactly. We have all these.
O'Hare.
That's in the middle.
We got 4 hijacked just from the New York area, basically, right? The Northeast. Right. Imagine if they took 4 from LAX and 4 from Dallas. Like, I can't believe they didn't shut everything down. I don't know.
Could have been worse.
It could have been way bad. I mean, it was way bad. I'm not downplaying what actually,
No, I'm not either. I'm not trying to make light of what happened. I make light of the fact that we're all still here, survivors, you know, still trying to figure out what happened, really, but we're here, and that's the whole point. What are we going to do to prevent it from
Yep.
happening again?
9:08 a.m. is where we are here. The FAA bans all takeoffs nationwide. Oh, you just read that one, didn't you? No. 9:06, they imposed blanket temporary flights. 2 minutes later, the FAA bans all takeoffs nationwide for flights going to or through New York Center airspace. ABC News reports later that the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, the agency that runs the New York area airports, asked the FAA for permission to close down the New York Center airspace. So they still only banned flights going to or from New York nationwide, but we're just now grounding aircrafts in California that are going to New York. If you're going from California to Florida, you're still going. 9:13, the F-15 fighters from Otis leave military airspace near Long Island bound for Manhattan. 9:14, President Bush returns to an adjacent classroom commandeered by the U.S. Secret Service. The classroom contains a telephone, a television showing the news coverage, and several senior staff members. The president speaks to Vice President Dick Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, New York Governor George Pataki, and FBI Director Robert Mueller, and prepares brief remarks. 9:17, the FAA closes down all New York City area airports. 9:19, United Airlines flight dispatcher Ed Bollinger begins sending warning text messages to his flights. Quote, beware any cockpit intrusion. 2 aircraft hit the World Trade Center, end quote. Because he was sending this warning to his 16 transcontinental flights, this takes several minutes. So airplanes have honestly, it's like your navigation system on modern cars, right? It's a screen that has several different functions, like can show all the sensors in the aircraft, the fuel, all that stuff. Also, they have texting capabilities, much like a 18 wheeler, a big rig does to headquarters. They can. So is what this guy's doing. Ed Bollinger, he's sending out these work texts to the actual airplane, to the cockpit, so that these pilots now have. This is the first time the pilots were actually warned. At 9:21, all bridges and tunnels into Manhattan are closed. The George Washington Bridge is, however, kept open to allow vehicle traffic to evacuate from Manhattan. 9:23, Bollinger's warning message is sent to both Flight 93 and Flight 175 and is received in the cockpit of Flight 93 1 minute later. 9:24 to 9:38 approximately, 3 people fall from a window on the southeast side of South Tower's 79th floor over the course of several minutes. The first is seen jumping to his death, while the next 2 make an attempt to climb down before slipping. Down at street level, one of them lands on firefighter Danny Sewer as he prepares to enter the South Tower, killing them both. 9:25, the Otis-based F-15s established an air patrol over Manhattan. 9:26, the FAA bans takeoffs of all civilian aircraft, regardless of destination. A national ground stop. Flight 93's pilot, Jason Dahl, replies to Bollinger's text message, Ed, confirm latest message, please. Jason. 9:28. Flight 93 is hijacked above northern Ohio when the hijackers stormed the cockpit. The entry of the hijackers was overheard by flight controllers at Cleveland. 9:29. President Bush makes his first public statements about the attacks in front of an audience of about 200 teachers and students at the elementary school. He states that he will be going back to Washington. Quote, today we've had a national tragedy, he starts. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country, and leads a moment of silence. No one in the president's traveling party has any information during this time that other aircraft were hijacked or missing. 9:30. In the North Tower, 6 men escape express elevator car 69 Alpha. The elevator, which had been designed to traverse much of the building to reach upper floors more quickly, had gotten stuck on the 50th floor when Flight 11 hit the tower. With no exit at this floor, the window cleaner Jan Dimskar, we're going to call him Jan, actually, it's probably Jan, used his squeegee to attempt to cut a hole in the sheetrock lining the elevator shaft. When the squeegee's blade broke off and fell down the elevator shaft, he and the other 5 people trapped in the elevator alternately used the handle to scrape away at the lining, eventually cutting a hole large enough for them to escape into an adjacent bathroom. They are found by firefighters who immediately escort them to a stairwell. All 6 safely leave the tower 5 minutes before it collapses. Talk about lucky.
Wow. My hands are sweating.
Yeah. I hear you.
Oh my gosh. All right. 932. Man, yeah. You know, you talk about the fog of war, or just anytime that there's a trauma, you don't expect these things to happen anytime. And it's like how they got together to be like, okay, we're going to take this handle and dig our way out while everything's falling down around them, It's awesome.
And imagine if it would have took them 5 more minutes. You know what I mean? 5 more minutes to formulate a plan, or 5 minutes of someone being, not active, but like double second guessing themselves or anything like that. They would
Waste so
all have
much
died.
time.
Like,
Right.
yeah, they just it's amazing that they got their shit together and got out of there. I mean, lucky. I hope they all bought lottery tickets.
932 radio transmission from Flight 93 is overheard by flight controllers at Cleveland. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the captain. Please sit down. Keep remaining sitting. We have
Yeah,
a bomb on board.
You have to read it as it is, because this is someone who doesn't speak very good English
Right.
talking.
Well,
So I've reread all this and edited
Actually-
it, and it's
I should do this great. Then we have a bomb on board. Those fit controllers at, what did we say this is, Dulles?
I think it's Dulles.
Dulles. Dulles. Terminal radar approach control. And see, I told you I can't even talk. In Virginia, observe a primary radar target, tracking eastbound at a high rate of speed, referring to Flight 77. At 9:33, a tower supervisor at Reagan National Airport tells Secret Service Operations Center at the White House that an aircraft is coming at you and not talking with us, referring to Flight 77. The White House is about to be evacuated when the tower reports the Flight 77 has turned and is approaching Reagan National Airport. 9:33, the president's motorcade departs from the elementary school bound for Sarasota, Bradenton International Airport, and Air Force One Flight 93 reverses direction over northeast Ohio and starts flying eastwards based on a report that Flight 77 had turned again and was circling back toward the District of Columbia. The Secret Service orders the immediate evacuation of the vice president from the White House. 9:36, Cleveland advises the FAA Command Center that it is still tracking Flight 93 and inquires whether someone had requested the military to launch fighter aircraft to intercept the aircraft. I just real quick, I think it's interesting that these planes, that one of them was over southern Ohio, the other over northeast Ohio, and Air Force One was also, they were all in Ohio around the same time. Interesting. Where am I at here?
9:37 with 46 seconds. Flight 77 crashes into the western side of the Pentagon. All 59 passengers and crew are killed aboard the aircraft, including an additional 125 people in the building on the ground. So there was already emergency workers there, and there was civilian and military staff also included in that 125 deaths from the Pentagon. The crash started a violent fire. At 9:39, another radio transmission is heard from that guy aboard Flight 93. This is the captain. I would like you all to remain seated. We have a bomb on board and are going back to the airport and have our demands, so please remain quiet. So this guy's transmitting on the radio, thinking he's talking on the stewardess telephone to like the cabin. That's what they call it, right? Yeah, cockpit in the cabin. So they think they're talking, they're addressing the passengers when really they're making radio transmissions. 9:42, Senior FAA Traffic Manager Ben Sliney issues the execution order of Scatana, grounding all I wonder what that means. Grounding all air traffic control over the United States and diverting any incoming international traffic to alternate destinations. So 9:42 a.m. That's the official shutdown. We're locked down. 9:43, the White House and the Capitol are evacuated and closed. 9:45, the United States airspace is shut down by FAA. All operating aircraft are ordered to land at the nearest airport, and international flights are not permitted into airspace. U.S. airspace is shut down. No civilian aircraft are allowed to take off, and all aircraft in flight are ordered to land at the nearest airport as soon as possible. Nearly all international flights headed for the U.S. are redirected to Canada, while some flights from South America are diverted to Mexico. Transport Canada orders a complete close down of Canadian airspace, but the Mexican airspace never shut down.
I found the
You do what?
Skatana is an emergency preparedness plan, but it doesn't. The definition doesn't tell you what the acronym is. It's just
Huh.
all right. That's what I was trying to find out what it meant, word letter for letter, but it doesn't say. I'll have to look that up later.
We got a producer that can do some research for that. He's
Right.
he's a good producer. He'll have an answer for us soon. I'm confident.
Anna.
We are at 9:49 a.m. now.
9:49. The FAA Command Center at Herndon suggests that someone at FAA headquarters should decide whether to request military assistance with Flight 93. Ultimately, the FAA makes no request before it crashes. 9:51, Chief Oro Palmer of the Fire Department, New York, 7th Battalion reaches the 78th floor of Sky Lobby of the South Tower along with Fire Marshal Ronald Bucca.
Security control of air traffic and air navigation aids is Skatana. No, I'm reading. I got your screen up on my screen, buddy.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're an efficient show around here. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just seen it up.
We got messages coming in, people. It's important.
Yeah. Where are we at? 9:51, right?
Yes, sir. Take it away.
Chief Oreo Palmer of FDNY's 7th Battalion reaches the 78th floor sky lobby of the South Tower along with Fire Marshal Ronald Bucca. Palmer reports that there are 2 pockets of fire and numerous dead bodies. 9:52, the National Security Agency intercepts a phone call between a known associate of Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan and someone in the Republic of Georgia announcing that he had heard good news and that another target was still to be hit. 9:55, Air Force One leaves Sarasota International Airport. 9:57, the passengers aboard Flight 93 begin a revolt planned by Todd Beamer, Mark Bingham, Tom Burnett, Jeremy Glick, and others move against the hijackers in an attempt to take back the plane. President Bush leaves Sarasota, Florida on Air Force One. The plane reaches cruising altitude, this is Air Force One, reaches cruising altitude and circles for approximately 40 minutes while the destination of the plane is discussed. 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapses. No one who is still inside the South Tower at the time of its collapse survives. Father Michael Judge, chaplain to the FDNY, is struck by falling debris on the lobby level of the North Tower. He dies of blunt force trauma to the head. He is found by Chief Pfeiffer, Jules Naudet, and others from the North Tower command post who fled when they heard the South Tower collapse and took refuge in the nearby escalator as the debris cloud engulfed them. As Judge's body is the first recovered and certified by the medical examiner's office, he was designated victim 0001 of the September 11 attacks. 10 o'clock, Battalion Chief Joseph Pfeiffer, still inside of the standing North Tower, orders all FDNY personnel to evacuate via radio. Command Post Tower 1, all units, evacuate the building. Command Post to all units. 10:02, communicators with the Vice President in the Presidential Emergency Operations Center begins receiving reports from the Secret Service of an inbound aircraft, presumably hijacked, heading towards Washington, D.C. This is Flight 93. 10:03 a.m. with 11 seconds. Flight 93 crashes into a field in Shanksville. Man, I'm having trouble talking.
I'm just dehydrated.
Shanksville, Pennsylvania, which is 80 miles southeast of Pittsburgh, as a result of fighting in the cockpit. Later reports indicate that passengers had learned about the World Trade Center and Pentagon crashes and were resisting the hijackers. The resistance was confirmed by Flight 93's cockpit voice recording, on which the hijackers are heard making their decision to down the plane before the passengers succeed in breaching the cockpit door. The 9/11 Commission believed that Flight 93's target was either the United States Capitol building or the White House in Washington, D.C., but Khalid Sheikh Mohammed claimed that the United States Capitol building was the main target. The crash of Flight 93 also signified the end of the attacks, as all of the hijackers were now dead and all of the hijacked planes were destroyed.
Okay. 10:08, Air Traffic Control System Command Center in, why do I get this word every time? Herndon reports to FAA headquarters that Flight 93 may be down near Johnstown, Pennsylvania. 10:10, National Military Command Center directs threat condition. I remember this. Threat condition Delta for U.S. military bases worldwide. Part of the west side of the Pentagon collapses. Needs emphatically tells fighter pilots over Washington negative clearance to shoot. Negative, do not shoot. 10:10. Approximately, Vice President Cheney, unaware of the Flight 93 has crashed, authorizes flight aircraft to engage the inbound plane, reported to be 80 miles, 129 kilometers from Washington, base not on radar, from which has disappeared, but speed and trajectory projections.
So they didn't know where this airplane was.
Right.
They just, the last known position, it was traveling southeast at 600 miles per hour or whatever, and so Cheney authorized them to go basically search the area and find it and engage if need be.
Right. Let's see. 10. The Vice President Cheney, unaware of the flight. Oh, wait a minute. We already see. The North Tower of the World Trade Center collapses 1 hour and 42 minutes after the impact of Flight 11, and the Marriott Hotel located at the base of the two towers is also destroyed. At 10:31, NORAD first communicates the Vice President's shoot-down authority to need. 10:35, Air Force One carrying the President turns for Barksdale Air Force Base in Bossier City, Louisiana. 10:39, another hijacked airliner is claimed to be headed for Washington, D.C. F-15s are scrambled in a patrol the Air Force above, or airspace above Washington, D.C., while other fighter jets sweep the airspace above New York City. They have orders first issued by Vice President Cheney and later confirmed by President Bush to shoot down any potential dangerous planes that do not comply with orders given to them through radio. Eventually, the aircraft is revealed to be a medevac helicopter on its way to the Pentagon. That could have been bad. 10:50. All 5 stories of the Pentagon on the west side, where American 77 crashed, mostly at first and third floor level, collapsed due to the fire started by the crash. 11:08, the pilot of Korean Air Flight 85 includes letters HJK, a code for hijacked, and an airline text message. 12 p.m. ARINC officials notify NORAD about the use of the hijack code on Flight 85. 12:15, approximately 15 minutes later, the airspace over the 48 contiguous United States is clear of all commercial and private flights. 1, approximately, jets are scrambled from Elmendorf Air Force Base to Shadow Flight 85. 104, President Bush puts the U.S. military on high alert worldwide, known as Force Protection Condition Delta. Tape remarks from the president were aired from Barksdale Air Force Base stating that freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward and freedom will be defended. He also said that the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts. He then leaves for a U.S. Strategic Command bunker located on at I can't hardly see the outfit.
I think it's Offutt, I think.
Air Base in Bellevue, Nebraska. Bellevue. Okay. 124, ATC instructs Flight 85 to change its transponder code to 7500. the universal signal for hijack, expecting that if they had not been hijacked, the pilots would respond to this fact. Instead, they simply comply with the instructions, which ATC takes as a confirmation that the flight has indeed been hijacked. And 127, Mayor Anthony A. Williams of Washington, D.C., declares a state of emergency, and the District of Columbia National Guard arrives on site.
So with the when ATC instructs Flight 85 to change its transponder, the transponder code 7500 is only used as a decoy for hijacking. So basically,
Right.
what they're saying is, if they're not hijacked, then the pilot's going to say, "No, there's no need to go that channel. It's all good. We're all clear." But if it is hijacked, hijackers don't know that's a decoy code, transponder code, right? So
Right.
when they change their transponders to that code, that confirms that they've been hijacked, because any regular pilot would know not to do that.
Right.
So you read that one. 2:50 p.m. President Bush arrives at Offutt Air Force Base in Bellevue, Nebraska, to convene a National Security Council teleconference via the U.S. Stratcom bunker. 2:54. Flight 85 lands safely in Whitehorse. On the tarmac, Flight 85 was greeted by armed Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers who, after interrogating the pilots, learned the whole ordeal was caused by a translation error. Could you imagine that? Like, this stupid airplane was tailed by 2 fighter jets all the way there. I don't get it. 4:36. President Bush departs Offutt Air Force Base on Air Force One. 5:20 with 33 seconds. 7 World Trade Center, a 47-story building located at the World Trade Center site, collapses after fire started inside of the building. The building contained New York's Emergency Operations Center, operated by all of the New York City Office of Emergency Management, originally intended to respond to disasters such as the September 11th terrorist attacks. Due to the emergency personnel having more than enough time to evacuate the building since the collapse of the North Tower, there are no injuries or death as a result of this collapse. 6:54. President George W. Bush arrives at the White House in Washington, D.C. And 8:30 p.m., President George Bush addresses the country from the White House, as can be seen with this video. I got no sound on this video here.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack
There you go.
in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shattered steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America, with the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful, and it's prepared. Our emergency teams are working in New York City and Washington, D.C. to help with local rescue efforts. Our first priority is to get help to those who have been injured and to take every precaution to protect our citizens at home and around the world from further attacks. The functions of our government continue without interruption. Federal agencies in Washington, which had to be evacuated today, are reopening for essential personnel tonight and will be open for business tomorrow. Our financial institutions remain strong, and the American economy will be open for business as well. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them. I appreciate so very much the members of Congress who have joined me in strongly condemning these attacks. And on behalf of the American people, I thank the many world leaders who have called to offer their condolences and assistance. America and our friends and allies join with all those who want peace and security in the world, and we stand together to win the war against terrorism. Tonight, I ask for your prayers for all those who grieve, for the children whose worlds have been shattered, for all whose sense of safety and security has been threatened. And I pray they will be comforted by a power greater than any of us, spoken through the ages in Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.
When President Bush was initially notified he was making that appearance at the grade school in Florida,
Right.
we were all tense, waiting on his word. I was. I'm assuming everyone was.
Yeah.
He sat. What's that? Go ahead.
No, we were the same boat. I was already enlisted, so we were trying to figure out what was going to happen with us. Where do we fit in this deal? Wait for the word.
He sat behind his desk, made from the oak wood of the HMS Resolute, a gift from Queen Victoria, and his speech to our nation captivated me. There was no doubt in that moment that I would do whatever it took to exact my vengeance on the world. I told the story last week about my recruitment into the military, and I didn't get into many details, and now I'm glad I didn't. It gives me the opportunity to share this with everyone now. I said that I wanted to go overseas basically as fast as possible, and that was the defining factor for which branch I chose to join. I didn't give my reasons why last week, but I'll give them now. I was mad. I was pissed off. My mom was a drunk. My dad took custody of me without my consent or knowledge, and my whole world had just changed with the terrorist attack. I was a teenager in high school and was going through all of these feelings basically alone. No brothers, no sisters. And now someone wanted to attack my country too. I took it personally. I had no idea what the term Al-Qaeda meant, no idea who the Taliban were, had never heard of the name Osama bin Laden. When President George Bush came on TV and told me and the rest of the nation that we had been attacked because we are the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, I believed. I believed more in his words then than any words in a book or textbook that my teachers had taught from, and I was going to be a part of this, no question. I hadn't taken life for granted. I had never understood the struggles of the veterans before me, although I did have an uncle who was a huge influence on me in regards to history and military knowledge. Uncle Brad, shout out Uncle Brad. He showed me videos back in the day. We had VHSs, so he knew what you had to press record whenever something important was going to happen on TV, and he had a bunch of VHSs with important speeches from presidents and documentaries and stuff from Vietnam, World War II, Civil War. He loved the Civil War. I'm sure there was more. I spent a ton of time with him. So I did appreciate our history, and I appreciated those who served. But there was no feeling like knowing that I had been attacked and seeing my president tell our attackers, whoever they were, that there would be a price to pay. My name was going to be one of the co-signers on that check that their asses had to cash.
Yeah, I was already signed up on that check
Yeah,
at that point.
I
Good
didn't know
evening.
you already signed up. So watch this
Today,
video and
our
tell me
fellow
how you were
citizens,
feeling
our way of life,
whenever President
our
Bush
very
said this.
freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and
I think we
retreat.
just watched this one.
But they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shall My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations.
I'm going to fire my producer tomorrow.
To free its people and to defend the world from grave danger. On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking selected targets of military importance to undermine Saddam Hussein's ability to wage war. These are opening stages of what will be a broad and concerted campaign. More than 35 countries are giving crucial support, from the use of naval and air bases to help with intelligence and logistics to the deployment of combat units. Every nation in this coalition has chosen to bear the duty and share the honor of serving in our common defense. To all the men and women of the United States Armed Forces now in the Middle East, the peace of a troubled world and the hopes of an oppressed people now depend on you. That trust is well placed. The enemies you confront will come to know your skill and bravery. The people you liberate will witness the honorable and decent spirit of the American military. In this conflict, America faces an enemy who has no regard for conventions of war or rules of morality. Saddam Hussein has placed Iraqi troops and equipment in civilian areas, attempting to use innocent men, women, and children as shields for his own military, a final atrocity against his people. I want Americans and all the world to know that coalition forces will make every effort to spare innocent civilians from harm. A campaign on the harsh terrain of a nation as large as California could be longer and more difficult than some predict. And helping Iraqis achieve a united, stable, and free country will require our sustained commitment. We come to Iraq with respect for its citizens, for their great civilization, and for the religious faiths they practice. We have no ambition in Iraq except to remove a threat and restore control of that country to its own people. I know that the families of our military are praying that all those who serve will return safely and soon. Millions of Americans are praying with you for the safety of your loved ones and for the protection of the innocent. For your sacrifice, you have the gratitude and respect of the American people. And you can know that our forces will be coming home as soon as their work is done. Our nation enters this conflict reluctantly, yet our purpose is sure. The people of the United States and our friends and allies will not live at the mercy of an outlaw regime that threatens the peace with weapons of mass murder. We will meet that threat now with our Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines, so that we do not have to meet it later with armies of firefighters and police and doctors on the streets of our cities. Now that conflict has come, the only way to limit its duration is to apply decisive force. And I assure you, this will not be a campaign of half measures, and we will accept no outcome but victory. My fellow citizens, the dangers to our country and the world will be overcome. We will pass through this time of peril and carry on the work of peace. We will defend our freedom. We will bring freedom to others, and we will prevail. May God bless our country and all who defend her.
So, Cowbell, do you remember that speech?
I remember that speech. Absolutely.
Did it change your world?
You know, I need to sit here for a minute and try to remember exactly who I was at that moment, because things have changed a lot. And I think the way I was trained as a Marine, we were already on, if we were a fire, that was just fuel for the fire. And I need for people what I'm about to say to not judge me, because I'm not the same person now that I was then. But at that time, we were ready to go and take some names,
Yeah.
and more than willing, and everybody was. When I feel, number one, I feel guilty about some ways that I've felt in my past, but I have no problem sharing it with the world because it's something that people need to know about. I was definitely excited about going to war. I was definitely excited about being a Marine. We were excited that the country was patriotic about the whole situation.
More
You
than
can
ever,
remember,
probably, huh?
everybody was attacked at once,
Yep.
which caused a cohesion that we had not had since World War II. If you really think about it, when everyone came home and they had the big parades in New York City, and you see all the iconic photographs of the soldiers, or the sailors kissing the women, etc.
Yep.
That didn't happen to the Korean War. It didn't happen to the Vietnam War at all. Anything like that. And by the time I got into the military, so many things had changed that joining the military was kind of like joining a soccer team. It was on a bigger scale. Everybody was doing their own thing. Nobody needed to be drafted. So
Yep.
everybody was doing their own thing. So we wanted to be there. We weren't drafted. What was more impressive was when folks like yourself showed up. When I joined, there wasn't nobody expected for there to be some sort of a war. I had even mentioned it, and people were like, "Oh, it'll never happen." We were in a peacetime. A lot of people were just trying to get money to go to school.
Yep.
I was just on a Cody journey. Okay, I was just doing what I do. I was in the Marine Corps at the time, but we got caught up in this. But what was so impressive was going back to the patriotic thing. The whole country, the whole world, everyone pulled together. It wasn't just the United States that felt like it had been attacked. From where I was at, I was with other people, and they felt attacked too. Of course, we were all trained together. But the other thing is folks like yourself who joined knowing that you were going to go to combat. That's awesome. And that was to us when I came back from the first deployment, and we came back and I had 5 new Marines sitting there waiting for us when we got off the bus. And they were looking at us like we were Marine Corps gods, because here we just came back from combat. But they
Yeah,
didn't realize how much we looked up to them,
that's cool.
knowing, like knowing that that's what they were going to.
I
So,
never thought about it from a person who was already in.
right.
Like the way you just said, it's perfect, man. I never even thought about
Well,
about
yeah, that's the truth. And I think
looking at
that
us new
anybody that
guys.
was in my position, that's what we looked at. Anybody that like these old guys, let's say anything you're doing, there's always those really smart guys that are sitting back saying, "Wow, look at that," but they're not going to tell you. They're not going to say you're doing a
Right.
great job. They want to see how far you can go. They want you to push the envelope. They want you to break records, man. And that's what it's about to me. With even what we're doing right now, we're pushing the envelope. But the fuel that the president had in that speech, I think everyone that was we were all in that melting pot together, and to reflect back to those times, that it's weird how trauma comes with a balance of excitement, and there's a moment of excitement that happened during that time too. It was something that we needed. It brought everyone together, and I keep referring back to World War II when everyone came home. But think about that. After that happened, we flourished. It brought people together. People wanted to have a job. People wanted to work. People wanted to have a family. People appreciated the fact that they could drink a glass of milk. They didn't challenge authority. They didn't try to tell the police that they were wrong because you're trying to give me a ticket for breaking the law. Things are getting a
Yeah. Right.
little bit crazy now. And it's almost scary. It makes you look at patterns and think, what's going to happen next?
And World War II was on a literally. I mean, I know it's
Yeah,
called World War II, but it was on a worldwide scale. Like it was massive. The
correct.
amount of people that all nations were sending to Europe.
Right. And so, but go back to where I was at. We were in Camp Pendleton. I was in the Marine Corps. I was a corporal. I was an E4. I wasn't in any type of decision making
Right.
except on my own level when, we actually got into the theater. So we didn't know what to expect, but we knew that we had the support of the world, which was completely different than anything that had happened, in the past 30 or 40 years. The world was not supporting what we needed to do, or why we wanted to do what we wanted to do. So it was pretty obvious. We didn't have that uh, coming home either. We didn't have people telling us that they were mad at us about it. Everybody was
How
still excited.
how did your feeling change about like wearing a uniform in public? I'm sure that once we declared war on someone and started deploying people, like was it I'm sure you got a lot more contact, I guess what I'm trying to say. Because like during peace times, oh, there's a soldier at Taco Bell grabbing some food, or there's a guy in BDUs in Walmart grabbing a gallon of milk. And how
Well,
much different was it after?
okay. See, I guess in the Marine Corps, if I were to wear my BDUs in the public, I would be punished.
Well, you're allowed one stop to and from work, right?
Yeah, but I lived on base. So see, that's the thing. I never
Oh yeah, yeah.
experienced. I never experienced. Um, okay, I experienced wearing my dress blues,
But like when you're
and
going through airports and stuff, right? On leave or anything
uh,
like that.
oh, I don't. I'll tell you about an airport experience. Yeah, I went home. I had my Marine Corps haircut. I had all my Marine Corps duffel bags. They were all green. I had my uh, wardrobe bag, which was camouflage from boot camp. And who do you think that they wanted to check going through the line at the airport? Not the people over here that look like they could be terrorists.
Right.
They checked me, like I'm over
Hey,
here.
you're talking to the same guy. So
Yeah.
I went
So
through
that was my
airport security,
experience. That's
and
my
they
experience, man.
they pulled me to the side and put me behind this blue curtain for a strip search. I'm not shitting you.
Yeah.
And like I come out of there with my belt undone, my blouse undone, my damn boots untied and everything. And like this dude walked up to me, he's like, "Did they just search you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He was like, "Man, what a crock of shit." And like this time it's OIF3, like we're balls deep in Iraq and Afghanistan, you know. This
Right.
dude's like, "Tie up your shoes, come over here, I'm gonna buy you a beer." I'm like, "Deal."
Yeah.
But he was even shocked, you know, like I can see the wear on your uniform. Like it's clearly not nothing you just got from an army surplus store. Like that thing's a year old and a hard year, you know. And
Right.
yeah, that's crazy. We got the same story.
Yeah, that was the anytime it was like in a public place like the airport. It wasn't really in the airports. And it was that way for like 6 years at least. But any place else, it was like if I showed up with my dress blues on, they're like, "Oh, let me buy you a beer. Let me buy you your dinner.
Yeah,
Let me pay for your cab ride home because you can't drive, etc." or whatever. You know, that the support from the public was always immaculate, and it was always there. I never ever there was never one time I ran into somebody that's like, "I can't stand you. I don't agree with what you're doing. You're a
yeah.
horrible person." You know, it wasn't. We got lucky as far as that aspect.
So going back to how you said like you came back from overseas, you'd already been in combat, and there's a bunch of new guys, right? That's me. I'm the new guy now. I remember distinctly our drill sergeants. So I think each platoon had like 3 drill sergeants, you know, a senior drill instructor, drill sergeant, and then the other 2 would like all 3 of them like rotate for days off and shit, right? Because they don't have to work
Yeah.
7 days a week. But you could tell the 2 that had a CIB, which in the Army is the combat infantryman's badge, the really
Right.
the only medal that means something. I mean, if you ain't got one of those, it's just a different world.
Right.
But you know, the guys like whenever I learned what a CIB was and how to locate it on the uniform, you know, above the left pocket, like those guys were like gods to us. We're like, holy fuck, like this dude's already been there. He's already been where I'm trying to get. He's already done what I'm trying to do. And like we listened, man. When they spoke, we shut our mouths and we listened. And it was awesome having some drill sergeants with combat experience teaching us. I obviously nobody my age was old. I joined when I was 17, so no one was old enough my age to have any combat medals yet. But
Right.
we definitely recognize you guys who already did for sure, and appreciated all the first what do you call that, first person stories, whatever. I'm not hearsay. Like you're telling me like, no, I was there. This is what a car looks like right before it blows up, or you know whatever. And having the firsthand knowledge
Right.
was priceless. I mean, you can't put a value on it.
That was bittersweet. It, I think that the further we push in life, become successful. The bittersweet becomes heavy. It gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And this part, as I was younger, I didn't realize that. So when I came home, I had these Marines to train. I didn't have much time to train them before they were going to go back. And
Yeah.
I was asked to take them. I said the first day I had them there, somebody asked me, said, "Take them for a run." And I was like, "Okay." So I took them for a run. And in California, that was a camp inside of Camp Camp Pendleton called Camp Horno. It means camp oven. And it was really right by the ocean, but between it and the ocean was a huge group of mountains, about 2,000 feet high. And so there were fire breaks and trails on these mountains all over the place, shelves. That's all we did was run.
What is a fire break?
Fire break is where they take a bulldozer and take down all the trees and everything, straight up and down the mountain.
Okay,
So
for like wildfires, you're saying.
exactly. So if there's
Okay,
a forest fire, it stops right there.
got it.
So we run up those fire breaks, etc. Took them for a run. I told them, I said, "Listen, I'm not going to mess with you. I'm not going to play games. I'm not going to try to kill you. I'm not going to try to make you sick." I said, what I'm going to tell you is to save your life." And I told them everything that I could on that run to just what you said. This is what a car looks like or sounds like, or if you
Right.
see somebody doing this, or if you see the hand or whatever, anything you can recall.
I bet
And I
Cody, those 4 dudes to this day know your name. I bet they appreciated your lessons and your knowledge that much. I guarantee you all 4 of those dudes can tell me your name.
2 of them can.
Okay, I get you.
But you know, when I got back down that mountain that day, the next morning, my sergeant came to me. He said they came to me last night. They said, "Man, Corporal Ray talked the whole way up and the whole way down. He didn't." He said they said we couldn't even breathe, and he didn't shut up. It's like, so yeah, it's always been that way. But that was what was hardest on me, was sending those kids into the grind to that, and knowing what I had just done and what I had just seen was just a drop in the bucket compared to what was about to happen. And that what I had experienced really wasn't that bad. I was one of the first people in, and when we showed up, yes, I did experience combat, but we had such a show of force that we got control of it pretty quick. And people decided, yeah, we don't want to mess with these guys because they're gonna, take us all out. And by being very aggressive at the beginning of our attack, we established that, and it saved a lot of lives. But then we
Yeah.
became complacent, and I can remember driving back to Kuwait, and I could see the other units, and just the way they were dressed, I could tell that they weren't ready. I had a bad feeling. Everything was supposed to be over. Everything was supposed to be done, is what we were told. We were going home, and I see all the units driving in. They're driving west. We're driving east. We're going home. They're not. They don't have their Kevlars on, some of them. They're enjoying the trip. And they were caught by surprise in
Yeah.
a few weeks, just after that, a few months maybe, when they started doing all their IEDs. And, that's what I had to send these kids back to. So that was all part of it, and that goes with the part when we signed up. We all knew that there was a chance that we would go to combat one day, and that when we woke up every day, that's what we were training for. We weren't just going through the motions so that we could get off work and go drink a bunch of beers and do it all over again the next day.
Yep.
That was the basic life. But it was like when all that happened, and we realized, we're not going to be in Camp Pendleton much longer. We're going to be someplace else. And, I already was away from my family. I had one child, my oldest son at the time. And I was already used to being away from everybody and didn't have a problem with it. But what I was concerned about was my child. He was in kindergarten, and, thinking about him. But when I got back, I asked him, I said, were you worried about me? He's like, oh no, I need to be all right. So I had that going for me. I was glad about that, but it wasn't the case for everybody. Like I said, not everybody came home.
Right.
That's part of it, and and that leads on into other topics for Patriot View. But the main thing that sticks out in my mind is always sending those kids back and wondering why I had to do that. Why hadn't we accomplished what we needed to do with all those people that we had there to begin with? And it seemed unnecessary at that point. I didn't see what the mission was.
Yeah, there wasn't always. It didn't ever seem like a real clear-cut goal. I did Iraq and Afghanistan, and both were kind of the same. Like, basically, keep your head down and train these guys if you know how to train. And I don't. There wasn't really, like, they said, what weapons of mass destruction, I think, was the final, like, check the box thing, right, for why we're going to
Right.
war or whatever. And I
Right.
mean, I don't know what you call a weapon of mass destruction. I've seen some pretty big fucking bombs over there, I'll tell you that. So I don't exactly know what the definition of that is, but yeah, it was all hazy. Like, what are
Yeah,
your rules of
very
engagement?
gray.
Well, they could change every 5 days, and then
Right.
are we kicking indoors tonight, or are we doing knock and search? It's just,
Right.
yeah, there was no real goal, like a football game. You're supposed to go down there and get a touchdown. If your team sucks, you might go for a field goal, but there wasn't nothing like that for us, and it doesn't sound like it for you either.
It was confusing because at one point, it depended on where I was at, if I was on this side of the street or that side of the street. On this side of the street, I was drinking tea and sitting down,
Yeah.
making friends, sharing. That was also a translator with a card. That was, and so I had a lot of one-on-one interaction with the Iraqis and their families.
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, I'm on the other side of the street, and we're not interacting the same way at all. It's not friendly at all. So it's very paradoxical, and it's like being in a place saying, "I wonder which side the sun's going to come up today."
Yeah.
You don't even know if it's going
Well,
to show up or not, or if it's even going to show up the same spot. And it was confusing to
I
not
remember
really
a,
know what the mission was.
I remember a big difference in how we were looked at and treated by locals between literally night and day. So like in the daytime, they might not, if the guy that you just had dinner at his house with his family last night, like they'll make you some flatbread, I'm talking about. You drink the
Right,
the tea with 8 pounds of sugar and the ground up leaves still in it.
right,
And then the next morning you're driving through the market and that same guy's flipping you the bird because he ain't gonna be seeing the daylight
right.
talking to no American.
Yeah, it's no way. Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy, man. So how many tours did you do?
I only went over one time. I went to
One
Iraq.
time.
Well, actually, we were there. I was on float on a deployment.
That's on your
Um,
that's ship time.
yeah,
Okay.
and that was prior to 9/11. But what happened? We actually had lost a Marine, and one Marine was wounded in Kuwait. These were the same people that were involved in 9/11. Uh, so what I'm trying to say is my unit had a personal reason to go back.
Yeah.
They'd already taken one of our Marines and wounded one, and he was in my company, and or no, he was in my unit. He was in India. Maybe he was in Lima, Lance Corporal Sled. But we took that personal. So when that was just another iron in the fire, or just more fuel for the fire. When they're like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna go over here and do this now," we're like, "Yeah, it's time to get some payback for what they did to the sled."
Yeah.
And that's what they take advantage of, or us babies, us infantry guys, because we don't, we do what we're told. We love each other. You fight for the people you love, and when you lose one of them, you're going to go get revenge. And that was heavy. That was heavy,
Yeah,
and it
but
was very, very much. I think a lot of people were thinking that same way. So nobody was scared. I was scared to death when I was there, but man, we were sure eager to throw ourselves into it. And the I guess that the people at home were so supportive about it, that made it even more, made it okay. It's like, yeah,
right.
it was okay to do this.
Yeah, they were supportive
Um,
until they started getting a lot of news coverage, a lot of the shit, I think.
yeah,
I
when
think
you're there and you're actually see what's happening, it's not so great.
right.
And when you're at home and you're just hearing about it, yeah, whatever.
We had
And
a CNN, or I think it's CNN, reported with us one time, and like, look, I don't have a whole lot of limits. Like, I don't have very strong morals. I don't have a whole lot of ethics, whatever, right? And I'm saying, again, like you, I've changed a lot. I was a different man back then. I was a kid,
right.
But so like I remember when our commander's telling us that we're all gonna have a CNN crew with us today, which so we have to pull one soldier out of each truck, basically.
Oh
Out of
gosh.
four, our patrol was 4 trucks, right? We got to pull one soldier out of each truck so we could have one of these camera guys with us. And
Yeah.
we're all like, what the fuck? Well, my squad leader pulls me aside and he's like, look, man, and I'm not gonna say nobody's names in this because I don't know how long you can get in trouble for shit for. So they're all anonymous for the story. But I remember him pulled me aside and he's like, look, you're gonna have one of these guys in your truck. Um, they don't see shit. We don't go. We're not going into town today. Like, literally we took them on the very outskirts of Baghdad, just like cruising around in the dust, pretending like we were patrolling because we weren't directly told don't talk to the cameras, don't do your job today, but we knew what that meant. You know what I mean? That we don't want nothing on camera of any of our guys doing that, and that was right about the time. I think it was around the time there was like 3 Marines that they had like this puppy, and then they were making a video, and then they swapped out the real puppy for a stuffed puppy and threw it over a cliff. And people were mad, like dudes getting kicked out of country and shit for this incident, right? And obviously they didn't really hurt a dog, but that type of shit is what was happening. And so our squad leader's like, yeah, look, these cameras, they don't catch none of you guys doing dumb shit today. Like, we're not, leave your weapons on safe, fucking take them out in the country and just cruise around for 16 hours or until they get tired, whatever, right?
Right.
But yeah, we didn't. I got a good story that I'll tell later.
Drive around in circles in the desert.
Yeah, it was dumb.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty cool.
we got a comment here from Joe Random 1211. He says, I joined in 07 and in 09 was my first tour.
Random. What's up, brother?
I will never forget why I joined and some of the things that I have seen in my 16 years so far. I never had to wear full body rattle, but I carried flag draped caskets out of country to get home to their families and those that were critically wounded to the care that they needed to recover. Those I brought out on air evacs either returned home or back to the fight. Which theater did you go to, Joe Random?
What he just said, I think, is probably one of the hardest things to, like, you see the photographs. He's the one that's in there, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's got to be a very daunting
Joe's
feeling, probably, huh?
He's a flight sim guy. He's one of the.
Okay.
He likes to fly for me. Yeah.
You know what branch he was in?
I think he's still in, man. He's
I guess it does say so far. Yeah, so far.
Yeah, because when he flies with us when he's not working.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
A loadmaster went to both areas. Well, hey, Joe Random, thanks for your service, buddy. You know, it's I was infantry, so we always make fun of non-infantry guys, of course. It's just part of it, right? I'm sure the Marine Corps is the exact same way.
Oh yeah, we made fun of the tanks all the time until they rescued our asses.
Until you need one to come block a road off for you, so you don't get fucking chopped up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all in good fun. Just like the Marines and the Army hate each other, right? Yeah, and until you see one in trouble, and then you're my brother too, you know.
I'll share my crayons, no problem.
Yeah, thanks. I don't like crayons. I tried one. What's your favorite flavor?
I like the red ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
they're good. Wait a minute. Hold on. Look, I can prove it. I got a fruit roll up right here in my pocket.
Nice.
How about that?
Well, I wish I had some food, man. I'm hungry.
And a tiny little Coca-Cola. It's little.
So let's see here. You had your first live art stream this week.
I did. It was cool.
What do you think? How was it?
Oh man, I have never had so much fun painting in all my life. Like, I had no idea how much fun it would be to sit there and just blah blah blah, just talk about. I don't know what I even talked about, to be honest with you. But that picture got painted back there, so
I see it. It's beautiful.
Something happened, you know, and
all that. I watched the whole thing, start to finish. It was awesome.
Something happened, and I don't remember any of it.
No, that's good though. That means you were completely involved, right?
Right.
What do they call that? Immersed. Yeah,
I was immersed. It's one of those other words I can't hardly say. Immersed.
Well, as a viewer, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought it was awesome. Are you going to continue doing them?
Yes, I am. My plan is to do one tomorrow. I need to get my commercial. We'll do that later, but I need to get some stuff set up for the stream, and I'm going to do another one tomorrow, and it's going to be similar. It's going to be the same size of that one, but different colors. I think I'm going to do probably like a morning or an evening type thing. So there's going to be some reds and yellows. I got to go buy some paint. I got to do that in the morning. I ran out of paint. I ran out of some colors the other day. But yeah, a little bit. They tease you with these little tubes of paint. They're just tiny little tubes of paint, you know. I see other people on TV and stuff. They got big clobs of paint over here. I'm like, man, I want all that paint. I want some paint.
Do you got any sponsors? You got anybody that gives you products to put out there?
Let's see. I'm going to do this very enthusiastic. Yes, I do. I just don't know who they are yet.
Oh, I shouldn't ask. My bad. I should have prepared you for that question.
I don't know. That's the only way I can answer that is to say yes, and let's see what happens.
Hell yeah.
We'll just open the door for opportunity, and I'll do it like that. But yeah, the
Yeah.
art stream, yeah, man. I got some. I had a little outline how I wanted to do it. I didn't do it that way at all, but it worked out.
That tends to happen.
Right?
You see how my outline went today. I had a whole show prepared, start to finish, hour and a half, right? About 6 minutes before the show, I flipped it on its head. We were supposed to end the show with the timeline that we actually started with today. That's how I initially wrote everything up, but I changed it to kind of get the serious stuff right at the head, you know what I mean? And then just give me and you time to talk about what we're doing.
Well, I mean, that's part of what we're doing. That's why I do the art. That's I started art when I was in the Marine Corps, and it's where I'm at now. It's been a wild ride. There's a lot to go. I have a lot to learn, but I have a little bit that I can teach. And the thing about it is, by doing this stream, it's teaching me, it's making me better because I have to get up and do it. I have to perform, at that moment. And
This show does the exact same thing for me. I took a
right,
month off, like a month and a half ago, right? I didn't stream for 5 weeks, I think it was, and I kind of got used to not doing it, and I was like, man, maybe I don't need that show. Maybe I don't need to do it. I'm not getting a whole lot of views. I'm not getting a whole lot of feedback from people. I feel like it's just me and the 4 guys I play video games with watching anyway. And then, so I was kind of feeling sorry for myself, I guess you could say, right?
right.
And then I talked to my lady about it, and I said, I'm gonna do one more today. We'll see how it goes. I kind of miss doing it, And man, setting up for that first one after that break, I was in here in my office. You can't see because I got this green screen up, but I was in my office for like 3 hours. And she comes in, she's like, "Hey, kids are home and dinner's done." And I'm like, "I appreciate it. I'm busy." And she's like, "So you're doing good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I forgot how much I missed this. I forgot how much I love looking up the history and learning all these facts and stuff to talk about this week." And I get immersed. It allows me to. This is kind of a getaway, even though I'm in my own house in my own office, but I feel like we're doing something that's outside of our normal circle of comfort and friends.
I'm definitely doing something that's outside of my normal circle. I've never streamed until last week.
Yeah, I remember I asked you like we meet probably a year ago, maybe give or take, wouldn't you say?
Right. Yeah.
And I
Yeah, I've been
remember
yeah.
I asked you at that time, how would you feel like getting on camera? And you're like, nope, not happening.
Yeah, so I don't. Well, see, okay. Here's what. As an artist, as a musician, and photographer, one of the main things that I always did whenever I make a video, and this is why, whenever I make a video or do some sort of photography, I'll never let anybody see my face. Because if
Yeah.
I'm already arrogant enough to get up and say, "Look at me, look what I can do. I'm playing the guitar." I don't need to also have my face in there. And so I got used to doing that. And I was like, well, who needs a face? If you're doing this, nobody needs to see your face ever. And I got used to that. And that was one of the reasons why I was like, well, I don't want anybody to see my face and then I thought, well, because why? This is a screen. They need to see your face for that. So it's one of my little weird things, I guess. It's like I had created this person that wasn't going to let anybody see their face that was going to become a famous artist,
Yeah.
and then it started happening.
Well, they have guys like that, right? The
Right.
graffiti guys, like they always operate under anonymity, most of them.
Right. But yeah, it was time to stop hiding.
Well, it's cool, man. I'm glad
Yeah.
you stepped out of your shell there.
Me too. I've been watching all you guys. That's another thing. Flight sim, man. That's my deal. If when I'm having a bad time, it doesn't matter. It's not just have to be because of some crazy memory. Just
Right.
flight sim community is freaking awesome, man. You got all these people who are streaming, and they're aware. They know that people are watching. They know that people are sometimes not flying. They're just watching to hear them, to have something to do. And because, let's see, when I get up in the morning, sometimes I have trouble sleeping. And I keep telling Tony, Sid GTV, I was like, I'm going to be on in the morning. But like, it's like, if I don't go to sleep now, here in about an hour, I'm going to be like ready to go run 10 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go to sleep till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I'm going to try to wake up at 5:30 because that's what time that's late. I usually get up at like 4. My schedule has just gotten, like the past 3 months, this has happened where I'm just like wide awake, like at 9 o'clock, just ready to go. And been having trouble sleeping. I don't know what it is. It's not bad. It's like this really good energy, but then it took me out of my routine where I was like, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning and start my day off flying on flight sim with Tony because he's highly enthusiastic. He's laid back, plays great music, awesome screamer, and I never pictured myself doing that because I was always the viewer. I was
Yeah.
always the person excited to watch the show. And the person that was getting the benefits, the enthusiasm from the people that I had never met, that the interaction. And, I thought about trying to do streams with Flight Sim, but I fly in VR. Nobody wants to see a dude, they don't want to see that. Right. So the art thing, and I don't know whose idea it was. It was yours or somebody's. It's like, hey, why don't you do an art stream? And I was like, yeah.
Well, you had sent
Why
me a
not?
video.
That's a good idea,
That painting I bought from you for my wife. You had
Right.
sent me a video of that, and it was a time lapse, so it was super short, but it was still so awesome. And like I told you, like how awesome it is, and how much we enjoyed watching you actually do it. I mean, it only makes sense, man.
It
And
does.
your first stream was fantastic. Like I think the least amount of viewers you had was 9, and you were carrying from like 9 to 16 on stream 1, day 1. That's unheard of.
See, I'm still kind of dumb with the stream, so I don't think those stats are affecting me like they should. But I'm very thankful for it.
Well, I mean,
But
whenever you're in somebody's stream, that's not Twitch famous, right? So not Scruffy, but like if you watch me stream, or if you watch Cowboy stream, or Iceman, or Tony, like how many viewers are they carrying? You know what I mean? Usually it's guys like I don't know how famous SGT is. Is that what it says? SGT?
he's carrying a lot of people, man.
SYD, GTV. But most of us, I mean, don't carry a whole lot, and it's I think you did a great job for your first stream. Are you gonna maintain a schedule or anything? Is there anything we can put out for the people?
Yes, I'm going to do that. What I have to do is I need to decide. Okay, the oil paintings I'm going to do, that stuff costs a lot. It's like
Yeah.
not cheap. So I got to make sure, I got to look at my supplies. I got to see how many paintings can I do. No, I didn't find a video of it. I don't think we saved it.
I don't think you recorded it.
Thanks, Speedy. Yeah, I'll have to set it up. There's other things that I can do. So yeah, my plan is to do 2 streams a week doing oil paintings because I love doing the oil paintings. I mean, I can do this oil painting in 30 minutes, really. If I
It
just
went
sit
way
there,
faster than I thought it was gonna. When you said you were gonna stream a whole painting start to finish, I was like, dang, we're gonna be here for like 6 hours. I had no idea it was so fast, and you were so. I think you were so skillful to do it all accurately the first time, pretty much. I mean,
that's the whole goal is to get the viewer to do that. And because that's what happened to me. I watched the people that did that and watched them do it in a short amount of time, and I was like, I didn't think that I couldn't do it because I saw them do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, they can do it. That guy can do it. I can do that. That lady can do that. I can do that. And so I started trying, and it wasn't easy. It was kind of hard, It was like, daggone. But what it was the steps that I want to teach everybody, and the little bitty things that make you happy when you sit back and, finish a piece of art and look at it and you're like, wow, I did that. Holy cow. What can I do next? What other painting can I come up with? It's not necessarily the painting. It was that feeling that they had inside. It's like making that light bulb brighter. And if you can do that to a whole lot of people in the world at once, that kind of goes a long way in my book.
For sure.
Yeah,
And
I think that's
you got
where we're
you
going
have
with
the
it.
setup to do it too, man. Like, I don't know, it's just your natural aura or whatever. Like you were just calm and relaxing, and we're gonna take a little bit of this Arctic White here and mix it with this Midnight Black, and like you talked us through it. It was so.
I have a great teacher.
Yeah, who's that?
Well, I can never say who they are. They won't want me to let them. But I have a great teacher.
Oh, all right.
And but yeah, I think that it does come natural. That saying that is admitting, and we need to do this as people. We need to be successful. We need to be able to admit what we are, what we're good at, and cultivate that and become better. And I'm by no means an expert at what I do, but I'm a person I've come to a point to where I can effectively share what I know.
Yeah.
And that people can also retain that and apply it and do the same thing. So by keeping it as simple as possible, I'm always going to show the base, the light, and the shadow. Those three things. That's it. And we can remember that with anything in art. You always, I was working on a truck yesterday, and I was supposed to have it done Sunday or Saturday, but right when I was done with it, I was like, "Ooh, let me try this," and I put something on it, messed up the whole thing.
Oh,
Oh
shit.
my god, I was so mad. I was like, "Golly!" My whole day just went right down the drain. And so I called the lady. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna have to do this so I can have it done by midnight." And I went ahead and drew it out again, and I was forgetting what to do. I couldn't remember what to do. Like my mind went blank. I didn't know how to paint. And all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh!" I remembered that. I was like, "I got the shadows, the light, shadows, and lights." As soon as I put that on there, everything popped out. But before that, it was just this dull shell of a Ford truck. As soon as I put those little shadows in there, just a few here and there, and a few little indications of light, it brought it to life. Just like the little, like when Pinocchio, ding, yes.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, man. That's what the whole art show is going to bring to people. You can do this. I want to see somebody start streaming their art too, and see how far it can go. But I'm here to stay. Definitely, we'll have a schedule very soon. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think we all are. I know. There was no negative feedback anyway I heard.
I had Kayla had to tell me to stop. I probably could have been there. I could have picked up another canvas and just started right there and be like, "All right, this right here, here's what it's going to look like over here, and you guys can't see what it looks like over there, but I can. So we're going to paint." I could have done the whole thing, man. Just keep going. And
well, you gotta say some of it. You don't want to flood the world with talent all at once.
I'll save a little bit of it. Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk later. I definitely was thinking about tomorrow. I talked to several other streamers. I'm trying to stream. So what counts? The main thing that counts is all the people that are supporting me, all the flight sim streamers. That's my base, my network. Yourself, CIA Cowboy, all these guys that have helped me out. I want to stream so that they can watch it, and not just go back and watch a video. So I'm trying to make sure that I can set up a schedule. There's some folks that I fly with on flights with Joel. I want to make sure that they can watch it. So I'm probably going to stream in the morning on one day and in the evening on the other day.
Well, once we figure out what's
know?
going on with your recording, once we can get that, what's called a VOD, I'm assuming it means video on demand. I don't know, but once we get that downloaded, we can upload it to YouTube. We'll create you a YouTube channel, and it can be permanent. So you'll never have to, you know what I mean? Then anybody can go. Honestly, it's just like watching episodes of a TV show. You can go back and, I want to learn how to make happy little trees on a lake with a mountain in the background. Oh, that was episode 1. I remember it. You know what I mean?
Right.
We'll get it all figured out, man. It's only going to get better from here.
This little tree over here is kind of pissed off.
This tree over here is
Yeah,
mad.
everybody's
Mad that this video got lost.
I don't think everybody's ever painted any pissed off trees before we can do that. I know
Oh,
how.
we got a celebrity in the house. Speaking of, Scruffy Tam's here. What's up, Scruffy?
What's up, brother? Scruffy? Man, I'll tell you
Heck
what.
yeah.
There's a guy with a car.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's got a nice little VW going on. Maybe it's a surprise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got
I love
a very good stream.
Oh, he is. Man, I'll tell you what. Place with Joel, Iceman, and Scruffy were the first streams. And that Scruffy, when I first started him, I don't want to say I was having a hard time.
Yeah.
And man, Scruffy, I tell you what, brother, you helped me. Just your enthusiasm, excitement, you know. Just I think at the time you were raising money for someone in your town. Just watching that, to see that there are other people out there reaching out and creating these charities for people. That to me that was everything. Just to know that there was other people out there doing it made my day better. Just knowing that. I know, man. That's why I want to stream too. It's to make that difference. That's the part that when anything that I've ever done, when I see somebody benefit from that, I feel like that was the real reason, and then anything else is the magical bonus, So, yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know Scruffy Tam, I'm pretty sure everybody in this room does, but Speedy can hook us up with a shout out if it's going to work. We tried doing a shout out earlier and it didn't work, but Speedy, if you can throw Scruffy a shout out, definitely go check out Scruffy Tam. He's awesome. Super friendly, clean, family friendly stream, a little bit cleaner than my stream. He has weird socks on all the time, which he will proudly show off.
That was another thing that I love, because I have oh my gosh, I have all kinds of weird socks. I love black and white socks too. Got a lot of black and white socks.
Oh, there's some good socks
There
right there.
They are, right there. They are.
Our shout out still isn't working. Sorry, Scruffy, but anyway, he's not hard to find. You can probably click his name and it'll probably take you right to his channel. If I had to guess, technology's pretty. Yeah, it didn't work. Oh well, thanks anyways, Speedy, for trying. But so are you gonna stream tomorrow?
I'm gonna stream tomorrow. I think 6:00 p.m. Sounds like a good time to do it.
That's Eastern time, right?
Eastern time, 6:00 Eastern.
Okay.
And I'll get up early and go buy some yellow paint. Some yellow paints for the sunrise or the sunset, whichever we're going to do. I don't know. It could be either one, just as long as the light's the way I need it. And I also have a canvas the same size as that, but I have another canvas that's really big. And so I'm not sure what day. I might try to shoot for Friday. I don't know.
For a second stream?
For a second stream.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe Friday morning.
Well, we can get we'll get in your Twitch. Yeah, Twitch. I don't know why I about said Twatch. I was reading something about a watch. Speedy sent me pictures of a watch. But anyways, we'll get in your Twitch, man. We'll get that figured out for sure, and to where we can do we can put a schedule up there, which you can either do like one episode at a time, or you can say I'm going to stream every Tuesday at 6. That way, people when they sign on your channel, they can know ahead of time when it's going down.
Yeah, you guys, I'm so bad. Like, if anybody that's dealt with me in Discord for the past year knows that I'm kind of bad with showing up on time.
Uh-oh. That's all right. We started a half hour late today.
But I'm getting there. I'm doing really good. I did good today. I was here. Well, I work at home. I have my son here, and he's homeschooled, and that's the priority. And so whatever happens with him, and it could happen at any moment. He has autism, but he's very high functioning. But whatever happens at the moment is what's going to happen. So, I'm not trying to make myself sound like I'm lazy or late, but that would be those are the real reasons. And it doesn't happen often, but
well, I think that everybody's going to understand that situation anyway.
Right.
I doubt anybody's going to give you a hard time, and if they do, then their opinion isn't worth a hoot. That's what I say.
during streaming, people there could very well be an outburst or something that could happen. I do have everything set up in the basement, but if it does, that's just part of it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's how it is.
it's all
Um,
good, man. You are in a very loving and understanding community. I mean,
oh yeah,
to
I wouldn't
like you were saying with the
care.
flight sim guys, man, we're all so different. For all of us to match up somehow and still be getting along and still be hanging out and doing guest podcasts and stuff like that, like nobody's gonna give you shit about it.
That's the thing about we were talking about that. It's like how flight sim has been a melting pot. Um, all the people that are here, what we have in common, we all want to fly. We all want to be we all want to be free from something. We want to leave the ground. I want to go fast. I love
Yeah.
low and going fast. But it's that I still haven't really been able to figure it out. One of the things I figured out about flight sim is that a lot of the guys playing are Sagittarius. That has nothing to do with anything. But I thought that was weird. And I'm not going to name any names, but I can think of four guys who are streamers and myself who are Sagittarius that play flight sim. I'm like, that's interesting.
Huh.
And does that have to do with the fact that, the zodiac sign shows a horse who says that their sign is a horse because they can see the whole picture? And that's why they're on all four legs. And so is that why a Sagittarius is drawn to play flight sim because we can see the whole picture flying? And that's the thing as an artist, I'm thinking about all these people and what's bringing us all together. What's the purpose? Is it because we all play music? Are we going to create a band?
Ooh,
Are there 5 people here on stream that play music and that's the future? Who knows, man?
I could play the hell of a tambourine.
I can play, man. I got some paintbrushes over here.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. Is what I'm saying. We didn't all meet here for just flight sim, and
Well,
it's cool.
Cody, I've got to work on wrapping up the show here. I've got some closing remarks, and then you and I will recap what we've talked about so far. So, I had the 6th annual September 11th Memorial Ride Sunday. I put it on every year for my American Legion. The money goes straight to veterans. We did not have a good turnout. I'm not sure why. I think it's probably the worst year we've ever had. It was beautiful out though. But I have to give a big shout out to Starved Rock Harley Davidson. They donated. So every year I buy $100 gift card from them, and then they donate. I swear to God, twice as much money in merchandise. They donated a whiskey or gin glass set. Like I call them shakers. They're like about this size, that you drink your whiskey on the rocks out of. And then they gave us a trifold wallet purse thing. It's like a big night. You can put like a oversized cell phone in there with all your credit cards and change and whatever else. So I want to give them a big shout out. Not that any of them are watching or anything, but if you're ever in the area, check them out. They're awesome. Also during the ride was the NASCAR race, which I didn't get a chance to change my roster, so kind of got shanked on that. But that's all right. I'm still 292 points above CIA Cowboy, so still looking like a pretty solid year for me. Basically, as long as I don't ignore my roster for the rest of the year, I win. You a fan of football?
I like the Raiders, but I'm in Kentucky. We don't have a football team.
Raiders won, didn't they?
I think they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an original Raiders helmet right here somewhere. But I'm a Raiders fan. I have been since I was
They're in
old
Las
enough to know what football
Vegas,
is.
right?
Yeah, they are now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's confused. They've changed like 3 times in our life, I feel like.
Yeah. Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Oakland.
Oakland. Yeah, LA Raiders. That's what I had back in probably 1990, man. I had a Raiders jersey and I used to like the Bengals a lot. I don't know
I
why,
have a
but
Raiders jersey somewhere, number 24. What
I'm
was
a
that guy?
Packers fan now, and the Packers just beat the snot out of the Bears for the 9th time in a row, so that's pretty awesome. Jordan Love, I think, inherited ownership of the Bears from Aaron Rodgers when he left. The Detroit Lions. I typed this up. I'm just going to read it as I type because I did like what all the newspapers do, and I used adverbs or adjectives or whatever that match the the team name. So I have here the Detroit Lions clawed a win over Kansas City. No one saw that coming. The Browns beat the Stripes off the Bengals. Mike Town and the Steelers looked more than a little rusty. And the Cowboys put up a giant score on the Giants with a 40-point shutout.
Yeah, how about that?
You like that writing? That's pretty good.
Something. Chris Scruffy says he could play air guitar like a pro.
Actually, this is not a joke.
God.
For a talent show one time at grade school, I did the air guitar.
Guys,
You'd be surprised how many people don't like it.
I should live on a farm, okay?
Hey, I got a farm. Come on.
When I mow my yard, I have certain songs I listen to. And one of them is No More Tears. And when it gets to the part where Randy Rhoads' birthday is the same day as mine, December 6th. I mean, Randy Rhoads, when he gets to the part where he plays the solo, I stop the lawnmower and I play the air guitar right there in the yard.
Hell yeah. Well, that is one of the most.
I gotta be used to it by now.
That's one of the most epic solos ever. Like, it's not even. He doesn't do any insane, slides or any insane speeds or nothing. It's just a beautiful and an awesome solo.
He's a classic guitar teacher.
Yeah, he's awesome. Zach Wild's my favorite guitarist. He's no slouch.
He's just mean looking, isn't he? He's great.
I actually just got to see him a month ago up in Milwaukee, and he's got to be a 55 or 60.
Oh yeah,
but he's still jacked, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got to be on some drugs. He's got to be.
I think some people are just naturally beast.
He's probably. I mean, he's like 5'11" or something. So average height, I'd say. But like, he's still like 205 pounds and just jacked out of his mind. It's crazy. Let's see. We got Monday Night Football tonight. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets invite Josh Allen and the Bills to fly over to New Jersey for a play date. I think tonight's gonna be a really good game. You gonna watch it?
I don't. The only thing I watch on TV is Seinfeld and Survivor.
Oh, I watch the show Survivor. I
don't have cable.
Oh no.
I don't watch TV really.
I just canceled my Paramount Plus, which has all 43 seasons of the Survivor on it. So no more Survivor for me.
I never watch the news because I don't have to. Everybody tells me about it.
And you can't believe half that crap anyway.
Right.
I mean, CNN will tell you one thing and Fox will tell you another. You have no idea.
I just play movies all day in the background, especially when I'm working. I'll have like a video on one computer and then a TV with like Groundhog Day playing every day. When I'm something like that.
Do you remember how patriotic we all used to be? You remember all the American flags on every porch and every doorstep? Remember how we forgot what color our neighbor was or what religion? Do you remember how much we loved each other and our country? That is my recap for the day. I want to end the stream with hopefully the notion that we all move forward to grow closer and kind of remember 22 years ago today how much we all loved each other and how inclusive we all were. Maybe was it due to a common enemy or due to a common trauma? I don't know, but I without having another terrorist attack or something, I wish we could feel more like that today. I think that our country is severely detached from itself.
I feel that way in my own self, my own heart and mind. I feel really good. But you can see that most people don't.
Yeah.
That's why the places in shape it is.
Well, if we keep doing what we do and keep bringing a little bit of maybe happiness or at least entertainment, hopefully, to some people, 9 at a time is fine. 20 at a time is better. Keep spreading your word. Keep spreading your artistic skills and talent. I look forward to tomorrow watching you stream. And I thank everybody for coming in. We're going to set up these end credits. I'm assuming we have end credits. I don't think we updated the links in there. Did we, Meat Shield? I don't remember. Yeah, maybe we did. Either way, we're going to roll the credits and we'll go raid out American Pride Gaming. He is also a veteran of our United States military, and he is currently playing some iRacing. So I appreciate everybody coming and watching us. I appreciate you, Cowbell Cody, coming on here with me, man.
Thank
I
you
hope
so
I get
much
to,
for having me.
yeah, I hope I get to have you on here again. It's
Absolutely, man.
super nice. I've done the last 8 or 10 episodes by myself, and I get tired of talking into a computer screen. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm
Oh,
beating my head against the wall half the time.
I love to talk. I just you make sure I say nice things, and I'll be good.
All right. Well, man, thank you. Thank everybody. And it's Patriot Day today, so find a service member, tell them thanks for the service. Firefighters, police, first responders, everybody. Everybody's days today. And thanks for Speedy for moderating and Meat Shield for being I would say above average producer today.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can go ahead and roll them credits.
Let it roll.
Us for NASCAR and NFL on Sundays on my Discord channel. The link is in the description there. If you need to talk to somebody about anybody, about anything, hop in the Discord. Thanks for the verdict for the music video on the intro, even though you couldn't hear it this week. Still awesome to hear from them. And all videos in today's episode were courtesy of the U.S. National Archives, which they can be found at youtube.com/@US National Archives. We will now go to American Pride Gaming. Thank you once again, everybody.